Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing an Odd Eyes deck profile. Pretty odd, huh? But it's a really fun deck to be able to play. I couldn't resist. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with Pendulums, to be able to introduce somebody into Pendulums. It's a pretty budget deck, to be honest. I mean, you can get the deck for probably less than $100, to be perfectly honest with you. At least the main deck, to be honest. I mean, it's been reprinted a lot because of the legendary dragon decks. And this was kind of like the least favorite of the decks in there, so it's really easy to get the support. So without further ado, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell and there so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on into this. So first off, you've got to play 3 copies of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. So Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon is the main monster of the entire deck. You can reduce this card, or you can reduce the battle damage you take from battles involving a Pendulum monster you control to 0, and then during your end phase, you can destroy this card, and if you do, you get to add a Pendulum monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. You can only use the Pendulum effect of Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon once per turn, and its main monster effect is if this card battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage inflicted by this card is doubled, which can be really pivotal to be able to OTK your opponent. Then we play 3 copies of Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. This card is absolutely crazy. I love the artwork of it, and it's one of the best cards in the deck. Yes, it is a vanilla. Yes, it is one of the best ones. But basically, its effect states that the Pendulum effects is the main one that you use. If an Odd Eyes card you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can special summon an Odd Eyes monster from your hand, deck, or grave. Any Odd Eyes monster, which is really busted. Then I play 1 copy of All Eyes Phantom Dragon. I just play 1 copy of it. I feel like 1 copy is plenty. It has the 0 pendulum scale, which is really important. And then once per turn, during the end phase, or into the damage step, if your Dragon Pendulum monster attacked an opponent's monster, you can activate this effect. It can make a second attack in a row, and you can not declare attacks the turn you activate this attack, except with that monster, which is not that big of a deal, but its other effect, its monster effect, is really interesting. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand or face up from your extra deck by attributing all monsters you control minimum 2, including a Dragon Pendulum monster. That's not a problem in this deck at all. And you can only special summon an All Eyes Phantom Dragon once per turn. This way, once per turn during your damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, double this card's current attack until the end phase of the turn, and then once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap or quick effect, you can send a spell or trap card you control to the graveyard and negate it. It's a good one-of in the deck to be able to get out as a big boss monster that has a lot of negations and has a lot of attack points. I might play it at 2, but the deck was a little tight, but I like the 0 scale. It's a really good card, but I just find 1 copy of it to be the optimal number because I don't want to break with multiple in my hand. Then I play 1 copy of Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon is once per turn when an attack is declared involving your face-up Odd Eyes monster and an opponent's monster. If you have an Odd Eyes monster in your other Pendulum zone, you can make that monster you control gain 1200 attack. So it makes all of your Odd Eyes pretty much go up to 37 that have 25. It goes up to 3700, which is pretty big. And it also has the ability that when a Pendulum monster card inflicts damage to your opponent by attacking, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum zone times 1200, which is an awesome ability about this card. 2 copies of Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. This card's pretty good. It's probably my least favorite of the Odd Eyes, support, but it's a good scale 1 to be able to put in the extra monster zone, or in the Pendulum zone, to be able to go into other cards. 2 copies of the new Odd Eyes Phantasm Dragon. Now, I play 2 Odd Eyes Phantasm Dragon because it is really good. This card is really good. If you can't play this card because you're in Europe and they haven't released it yet, you can drop it for another Odd Eyes Phantom and an All Eyes if you want to go with 2 more of these, if you want to go that option. So you get to discard a card to add a face-up Dragon Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. So basically it adds your face-up monsters that are in your extra deck back to your hand, so you don't have to just keep, using them over and over again by just special summoning in the extra monster zone or link monster zones. And if you control 2 face-up Pendulum monsters and a face-up Odd Eyes Pendulum monster in your extra deck, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you cannot Pendulum summon that turn you activate this effect. And during damage calculation, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can make that opponent's monster lose 1000 attack for each face-up Pendulum monster in your extra deck. So it's a really good game ender to just be able to do 3000 damage, and plus that Rainbow Wing is just gorgeous. Then I play 1 copy of Odd Eyes Synchron. Odd Eyes Synchron is Perform Pal Odd Eye Synchron is the only like tuner we play in the deck, but it's a really good card to play as a one of. Perform Pal Odd Eye's Dissolver is just a good fusion card. You use this card to fusion summon a lot of your fusion monsters. Jiangxi Magician is the one that I use to summon out Odd Eye's Raging Dragon. This card lets you target a face-up XYZ monster you control, and you can make that XYZ monster rank into a level, which is really cool to be able to use it as a material for Odd Eye's Raging Dragon, because Odd Eye's Raging Dragon gets a lot of abilities. 3 Chronographs. Chronograph is really good because if a card on your side of the field is destroyed, you can special summon it from your hand to use basically as a material. 1 Time Gazer, because you need the Time Gazer to play with it. 1 Supreme King Dragon Darkworm. When you normal summon it, you get to add the Supreme King Gate Infinity or a 0, which I do play Infinity in here. And if it's sent to the graveyard and you control no monsters, you can special summon it, which we play stuff like Dragons, Shrine, and copy of Foolish Burial to send it to the graveyard, but you just need it as a one of. The reason I play Infinity over the copy of 0 is because I play so many low scales in the deck. You want to have the Infinity because a lot of your Odd Eyes monsters are high levels, and this card is really pivotal to having a high level, scale or high scale type. Then I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is here because you don't want to get hand trapped. Or not because you don't want to get hand trapped, because you want to hand trap your opponent. That's because Call by the Grave. I saw Call by the Grave as the next card, and I was like, oh, I don't want to get hand trapped. But this card's here because you want to stop your opponent from doing shenanigans. So that's it for the monsters, guys. As normal with Pendulum decks, there's a high, monster spell count, because they count as spells and monsters. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. Well, the other spells. So for the other spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave is really good in here because you want to stop your opponent from hand trapping you, like I said before. 3 copies of Sky Iris. Sky Iris is the really good spell card that's in here. You can target a Magician, Perform Pal, or Odd Eyes cards in your Pendulum Zone with a card effect. With this card effect, and you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if you do, you get to add a Odd Eyes card from your deck to your hand. Basically, use this to search your Odd Eyes cards directly from your deck, which is really, really good. Especially with, or your opponent cannot target them. Your opponent can't target them, but you can target a card, one of the face-up card you control, and then destroy it. Then you get to add. Basically, this card is used for the adding ability with stuff like your Odd Eyes, your Arc Pendulum. Arc Pendulum is the main one that I add with this. 1 copy of Foolish Burial because you're not really worried about, it's a good starter card because you just want to summon out your Spring King Darkworm. 1 copy of Dragon Shrine. Dragon Shrine is the same thing. Terraforming because you want to get Sky Iris quickly. Odd Eyes Fusion because it lets me go into Vortex Dragon. 1 copy or 2 copies of Duelist Alliance because it lets me add, if there's a face-up Pendulum monster in my Pendulum Zone, you get to add a Pendulum monster or Pendulum spell from your deck to your hand, which you're just going to summon a Pendulum monster, which is Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, something like that, or Arc Pendulum Dragon. And then I play 3 copies of Spiral Flame Strike, which I still don't have 3 Ultras, which really bugs me. But the effect of this card is if you control an Odd Eyes card, you can target a card on the field and destroy it, and then add 1 level 7 Odd Eyes monster from your deck, or 1 face-up level 7 Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, which is really, really cool to be able to just add them to your hand. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 1 Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. Odd Eyes Raging Dragon is a really, really good effect that if it has a XYZ monster as a material, it can make a second attack during each battle phase, and then once per turn you can detach a material from this card, destroy as many cards your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack for each until the end phase. So it can OTK your opponent extremely easily. It's a really, really awesome artwork card, and it's really good to be able to just make it. And plus, if you can Pendulum summon for 7, you can Pendulum summon this card back if it gets destroyed from your extra deck. And if this card in your monster zone is destroyed, you place it in your Pendulum Zone, which is pretty good too. Then we play 1 Rebellion Dragon. Rebellion Dragon I summon a little bit less than Raging Dragon, but it's still good nonetheless because it can attack 3 times during each battle phase this turn. And if this card in your main monster zone is destroyed, by battle or by card effect, you can destroy that many cards in your Pendulum Zone as possible. And if you do place this card in your Pendulum Zone, which is pretty good, and if this card is XYZ summoned using an XYZ monster's material, destroys many level 7 or lower monsters your opponent controls as possible, and inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent for each of the destroyed monsters, which is cool. And if you do, this card can attack 3 times during each battle phase this turn, which can just OTK the crap out of your opponent. Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon is a really good other, Odd Eyes card that you can summon in this deck. 1 Meteor Burst Dragon, which you're usually going to summon off of it a lot of the times. Vortex Dragon, because Vortex Dragon is here for the, fusion plays and stuff like that. It just takes an Odd Eyes monster and a fusion monster, or a Odd Eyes monster and a Pendulum monster to summon it. Starting in a Fusion Dragon, you can summon really easily off of the Odd Eyes Dissolver by using monsters on the field that are dark. Boral Sword, because it's easy to make in a Pendulum deck. Apotheosa, the bow. I summon this a lot in this deck, and it's really easy to summon with the Pendulum summon. And plus, with the arrows that it has, after you commit to it, you're going to be able to special summon 3 monsters back. So if your opponent can't deal with this on their turn, which usually they can't, you're just going to instantly summon 3 monsters to the zones it points to, which is really important. The new Blackluster Soldier Link. Blackluster Soldier Link is really easy to summon this deck too, because you can use it, if you can use Odd Eyes monsters that are level 7 or higher to summon this, and it gets the abilities that it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it also cannot be destroyed, it can't be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects. Nightmare Unicorn, because Nightmare Unicorn just lets us spin cards on the field. Phoenix to pop spells and traps. Cerberus to pop monsters. Electromite, because it is Pendulums and you need it, and it's really good to have Electromite. And then for the last 2 cards I play is 1 Flare Metal and 1 Big Eye, because these cards can be used as materials for your copy with Jiangshi Magician to go into your Odd Eyes Raging Dragon, because it doesn't say it has to be an Odd Eyes XYZ, it just has to be an XYZ. So you can make this and take an opponent's monster, and then overlay this with another Odd Eyes card by using Jiangshi Magician, which is a really cool play to be able to do. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a really fun deck to play around with. I hope you guys give it a try. It's super fun. Super easy to get into if you know how to play Pendulum cards, and I really recommend, if you're not playing Raging Dragon, you really should be playing Raging Dragon, because it's really easy to play in the deck, and it's super easy to make in the deck. And plus, Rebellion Dragon is stupid good too. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.